What's going on YouTube? Today I'm going to give you my thoughts, my long-term thoughts on using the Google Pixel 4a. This is still one of the most affordable Pixel devices that you can buy, but does that price point mean that it's been compromised in any way in terms of performance, in terms of battery life, in terms of aging? How well has this budget-friendly device actually aged over time? Well, I'm going to give you my thoughts on it, and for the full review I'll leave a link down below as well as a card that's going to pop up, so you can go check out my full review where I went more in depth into this phone. But let's go ahead and talk about the Pixel 4a many months later. The Google Pixel 4a at $349 is again a very budget-friendly phone. It is missing some luxuries that we'd expect on phones in 2020, but again, at this price point, it's not something that you'd expect to see. Google did have to keep the price down, so they did have to cut some corners, but they definitely did not cut any corner when it comes to the screen on the 4a. This is an awesome panel. The blacks are really deep, colors are very vibrant. It gets bright enough in direct sunlight so you don't have to struggle to see what's on your screen. Again, at 5.8 inches, it's a 1080 OLED panel, and it's 443 for the PPI counters out there. It also only has 60 Hz as its refresh rate. Inside, Google put some interesting silicon. So running the 4a is the Snapdragon 430G processor, 6 GB of RAM, 128 GB of storage, and quite honestly, I wasn't expecting all that RAM or all that storage at this price point, so I'm really happy to see that Google didn't really skimp on the RAM or on the storage as well. The battery inside is a 3140 milliamp hour battery, and honestly, again, Google does some Google magic with their battery life, with their battery algorithms, because this battery life on the 4a is something that I am super impressed with, and you can see I get about 2 days of charge on the Google Pixel 4a. Now, if you're a heavy user, you probably will just get a day. I have no problems when I use this as a beast to make it through the entire day, and Google is constantly improving on battery life. They just gave us the latest Pixel drop, which included the ability to have adaptive charging. So if you plug this in overnight and you set an alarm on your phone, it's gonna make sure to trickle charge the last 20 or 30% of your battery, just to ensure that the battery doesn't degrade as rapidly as it would if you just continue to charge it overnight with the fast 18-watt charging. And of course, the Pixel 4a does not have any wireless charger on it. This is a wired-only type of solution. The Pixel drops, the Pixel updates are the main reason why I can still recommend the Google Pixel 4a. A lot of budget devices, a lot of budget manufacturers promise updates, but they never really deliver. But with the Google line, with the Pixel line, you know you're going to be the first on the block to get updates. And that's been proven with the Pixel drops. Even on this budget-friendly device, we're still getting updates on the Google Pixel 4a. So if you're like me and you like updates, the Pixel 4a is definitely the way to go, because it is going to get updated for the next couple of years. It is still going to get those security patches. You are still going to get those Pixel drops on the Google Pixel 4a. In terms of day-to-day operations, guys, I can tell you that this phone is still super fluid, super snappy. If you're trolling the web, if you're on the gram, if you're on YouTube, if you're doing day-to-day tasks that you would do on a phone, like making phone calls perhaps, or even sending text messages, I do not see any difference between the 5 and the 4, again, in day-to-day operations, just using a phone as it was intended to be used. Now, if you're playing a lot of games and using more CPU-intensive applications, you will notice a slight difference using the 5 and the 4a, and when I mean a slight difference, maybe it just takes a slight second longer to open up applications on the 4a, but once you get going, again, I do not see any difference in day-to-day operations. And thanks to Google's updates, thanks to those Pixel drops, I really think that's going to continue for quite some time to come. Let's be honest, guys, there are some phones now that are around the same price point that give you a higher spec on paper, but you don't get the Google Pixel promise, you don't get that Pixel experience, you don't get the Pixel drops, you don't get those promised updates. And the number one thing that you don't get is the Pixel camera, because this camera is the tried and true 12.2 megapixel sensor that continues to impress me, that continues to be the go-to camera, at least in my arsenal of phones. And you can be that person in a group setting, whenever we get back to those group settings, that can take their phone out and say, you know what, use my phone, it's better than your phone. You don't want to be that person that when it comes to taking those group shots, when it comes to taking those shots when you're on vacation, that actually keeps your phone in your pocket, that stays silent, that doesn't say anything at all. You can stand out in front of the crowd and you can say, you know what, my camera is way better than yours, even though it's a $349 phone. My camera can beat out your $1,000 phone any day of the week. And that's where the Pixel 4a punches above its weight class. It can really outdo itself even against some higher-end flagship phones out there. The Pixel 4a gives you all that great experience, all that great Pixel goodness at a very affordable price. This is a phone where if you don't need those flagship luxuries like wireless charging, like an IP rating, maybe like a higher end build, because this is a plastic build, but it doesn't feel cheap at all. It doesn't creak. It doesn't do any of that you'd expect at this price point. It's just a phone that if you need a phone to work, if you need a phone that has an awesome camera, if you want an overall great experience, the Pixel 4a is still one of the phones that I can highly recommend. Again, it all comes down to what you guys want. It all comes down to what you're comfortable in spending these days. There's a lot of great Pixel experience features that I can't seem to live without. There's a lot of features that I've become super accustomed to using, and one of those features is the call screen option. Basically what this does is, if you get a phone call and you're busy or you just don't want to answer it, you can have your Google Assistant pick up that phone call and you'll get a transcript of why the caller is calling. And this is just a little sample of what they hear on the other end.
Hi, the person you've reached is using a screening service from Google and will get a recording and transcript of this call. Go ahead and say why you're calling.
I'm calling to test out the call screen option on the Google Pixel 4a.
Just so it's clear, go ahead and say more about why you're calling. They can't talk right now, but they'll give you a call later. Thanks, and goodbye.
That's just an awesome Pixel experience feature. That's just something that I use on almost a daily basis, to be honest with you. We work from home these days. We're constantly busy. We're out driving. We're doing whatever we need to do. Letting your assistant pick up the phone call and figure out why the person on the other end is calling is something that I consider an awesome Pixel experience feature. And I also like the spam and call feature as well. I like the ability to block all those robocalls. That's another great feature of the Google Pixel experience, is the spam and call blocking feature. The call screen option is something that if you get a lot of robocalls like I do, I used to get about 10 to 20 on a daily basis, but since I started using the Pixel devices, I spend less and less time picking up robocalls, or actually, I don't spend any time at all because my Google Assistant picks up my phone for me. If you're a first-time caller or it's a possibly fake number, we've all seen those. It's our phone number with the last four changed. Or if it's a number that's recognized as a spam number, the Google Assistant will pick it up. Your phone is not even going to ring. You can see a transcript of exactly what's transpiring. So if it is something that you do want to pick up, you can go ahead and do so. But again, it's just about the software experience. It's just about the Google Pixel experience that I like to call it. And another great feature is the Hold For Me feature. This basically means that if you call T-Mobile or you call Spectrum or you call a number that's known as a business number, you can have your assistant hold the line for you while you continue to do your work. And when an actual human comes on the line, it's going to connect your call. You'll be prompted to pick up the phone. So it's all about saving you some time. It's all about, again, the Pixel experience that I really enjoy. There's a lot of Pixel features that I've become super accustomed to, such as the Now Playing feature on the Always On display. If you're out somewhere, it's just going to keep a running tally of all the music around you. How many times have you been somewhere, you'll hear a song that you like, you try to Shazam it, but by the time you get out your phone, A, you look like a geek trying to Shazam your favorite song, and B, you probably just missed it, so you didn't get a chance to record it. With the Google Pixel 4a, it's going to keep a running tally of the day and of the songs that have been played around you. So again, don't look like a geek at the bar Shazamming that song. Don't hold your phone up to the speaker. The 4a does it automatically in the background, and of course, you can turn this feature off if that's something you don't want. But I find it to be super useful. The stereo speakers are what makes this device super fun for watching multimedia, super fun for playing games, really just a fun overall device. This is the Mystic Black 45mm edition, but they have a smaller size and they have some different colors if that's your thing. So check my link down below if you're interested in picking this up. But there's a reason why Samsung is #2 in the wearable market, right behind the Apple Watch. Samsung make the best consumer smartwatch on the planet. So let's get into this full review and I'm going to tell you why. At $349, I'm really excited to see the Pixel 4a get a lot of those enhancements, a lot of those improvements and features that the more expensive Pixel 5 has. It's quite clear that the 4a punches above its weight class. It's quite clear that the 4a can stand its own against any flagship on the market, well, against a lot of flagships on the market right now because of the camera, because of the promised updates, because of the Pixel drops, because of the Pixel experience. It comes down to your budget, and if you're just looking for an overall great phone that you're still going to get promised updates, the 4a cannot be beat. But if you have any questions about this, let me know down in the comments below. I really appreciate you guys watching. Thumbs up, subscribe, and I'll catch you guys next time.